like I said, was every bit deserving of an NBA regular season MVP award. However, so was James Harden. So was Anthony Davis. So was Russell Westbrook. So was LeBron James. So the fact that I saw people getting huffy now in defense of Steph Curry because Harden won this MVP, and some people are saying that because players voted on it, it's, more meaningful, it's more telling of who the real MVP was. Hey, come on, get over your freaking egos. Like, I got an MVP award. I don't care where it came from. I have a trophy that has my name on it and a year printed on it and the letters MVP. Okay, I'm happy. Period. Like, people just need to grow up sometimes. But anyway, so yeah, I guess we did find a little bit of balls juice for you. All right, let's get a quickie in here before I forget all about it. Okay, and then maybe we'll try and make baseball a little bit of a second meat serving. But let's do a quickie here now before I forget about it, and that would be a soccer quickie. Now, tonight is the big, epic semifinals, the Final Four of the 2015 CONCACAF, CONCACAF Gold Cup, Soccer Gold Cup. I know you've been waiting for me to talk about this. I've been getting tons of hate mail the last couple weeks. Scotty Ball, why don't you talk about the USA men's soccer team in the Gold Cup? Well, A, because nobody's ever sent me many of those messages. Because B, nobody cares. Unless you have a relative or loved one on the freaking team. Or unless you're one of the 0.001% of American youth who, soccer's your favorite sport. Nobody cares. And speaking of nobody cares, everybody's going to care. You know why? Because tonight, the United States men's soccer team were poised to defeat the Jamaicans and play the winner of Panama versus Mexico for the coveted Gold Cup. We entered the game a huge favorite to win. We were going to destroy Jamaica. Jamaica is not even on the same level as the USA soccer team, is what they said. And then they played the game. And then the game ended at about 7 o'clock tonight, about 3 hours ago or so. And the scoreboard said Jamaica 2, USA 1. So that's it for the USA in the Gold Cup tournament, finals, whatever. Best of luck to Jamaica and Panama and Mexico. Like I said, Jamaica will play the winner of the Panama-Mexico game. That was being played later this evening. I did not see the final result on that one. So very disappointing performance for the men's United States soccer team. And that shouldn't surprise anybody. That's the type of country we are. That's the type of soccer program we run here in the United States. As I mentioned this a few weeks ago, the women's program here in the United States is perennially one of the best every year and of all time. But our men's is, you can't use any of those words at all. We'd have to start over. So why is that? We can't just blame the men in this country stinking at soccer, professionally at least, because, we're not a soccer country. Nobody in this country is good at soccer. Everybody in other parts of the world is better than our country at soccer. No, not the women. The women in our country are as good at soccer as the women in any other country in the world. So it can't be just a lack of popularity for that sport. That's just not our sport. There's got to be something more to it on why the United States never has and never will have a men's soccer team that can accomplish jack diddly freaking squat. But like I said, go Jamaica. I cheer for the Jamaican soccer team when they're not playing the USA, as I always cheer for the Jamaican bobsled team. Rest in peace, John Candy. All right, so that's what we got for soccer talk tonight. Let's see, where should we go here? Yeah, let's go to America's former favorite pastime of baseball. All right. Well, like I said, we didn't have a lot of balls juice tonight, so let's just consider our baseball talk here a second serving of meat. That's right. This must be your lucky night, because you are getting not one serving of meat from Scotty Ball, but 2 servings of meat from Scotty Ball. You're welcome. No extra charge. All right. So, all the Major League Baseball teams and players are back from All-Star break. All-Star break has come and gone, and now we can get back to real games that really matter, even though I know some of you will tell me the All-Star game does matter because it determines home field advantage in the World Series. That is another ranting topic for me on some other day. We'll try to stick to what's actually going on right now. Now, if you are a Twins fan, as I am currently wearing my Minnesota Twins hat, as I do pretty much every Wednesday night as I broadcast, and well, just about every other day of my life for that matter. My Minnesota Twins are, and hopefully your Minnesota Twins as well, are currently out west in Cali. They are on a 3-game, tonight they are in the middle of a 3-game road series versus the Los Angeles Angels. They are coming off a 3-game road series against the Oakland Athletics last Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know Friday night they lost a tough, was it Friday night or Saturday night? I want to say Friday night was when they lost a really tough overtime loss, 3-2 against the Oakland Athletics. And then Saturday, they got their butts handed to them 14-0. However, it might have been the other way around. It might have been Saturday was the 3-2 loss, and then Sunday's afternoon game, yeah, that's probably it, was the 14-0 shellacking. Don't ask me how to spell shellacking. But if you know how to spell shellacking, leave it in a comment somewhere on Spreaker or YouTube or my Facebook page at Scotty-Ball or my Twitter account at BDST Show. But anyway, they are currently playing the Los Angeles Angels. That game started at 9:05 Central Time tonight, so it is certainly still underway right now. Feel free to turn on your TV and mute the sound, and you can continue to listen to my sultry voice while you watch the Twins hopefully turn things around here tonight against the Los Angeles Angels. I'm pretty sure they lost the first game of that series last night. I do not know what the score was, but yes, they are struggling here a little bit post All-Star break, and one could argue they were beginning to struggle even a little bit pre-All-Star break. But after the final game with Los Angeles Angels tomorrow, then the Twins will come home on Friday for a 3-game weekend home series against the New York Yankees. The Bronx Bomb is coming to town. Don't want to miss it. I apologize. That was a terrible New York accent. But I hate the Yankees, so I'm actually glad that I did a terrible New York accent. The Yankees are like it's like they're like the Dallas Cowboys in football. Unless you're from there, you have no business rooting for these people. Okay, they're the man. They're the machine. They're the oppressor. They're the enemy. Okay? However, like I said, if you're from there, then by all means, if that's where you're from or that's where you live, then that should be your team. But if it's not, then under no circumstances should the Cowboys or the Yankees be your team. It suggests that you're a bad human being. However, it is not too late to forsake your Yankee and Cowboy fandoms and turn to a much more righteous path, such as the Carolina Hurricanes or the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Milwaukee Bucks, man. You want a random sports team to just go, you know what, I'm going to support those guys and be their fan. Choose the Milwaukee Bucks. Why not? That's why. But anyway, back to baseball. So yeah, Twins come home on Friday. They'll have 3 games against the Yankees, and then we get a day off on Monday, followed by a 2-game home interleague series versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then we stay at home for a 3-game series against Seattle. And then, once we get to August 3rd here, we got 7 road games in a row. 7 days in a row, we play 7 road games. 4 against Toronto, 3 against Cleveland. So that's the immediate upcoming schedule for your and my Minnesota Twins. Also, a very important date coming up here in just 9 days is the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Now, that is actually one of the better, more exciting parts of the baseball season, in my opinion, as it is always consistently action-packed and exciting. It's not to say you're going to enjoy everything that takes place on that day, but interesting and exciting, fast-paced action, all that kind of stuff. Now, will or won't the Twins be a team making a trade deadline trade? I believe almost all baseball teams from now until the trade deadline will be making some kinds of trades. A lot of them will just be prospects for prospects, low-level role players for prospects, low-level role players for other low-level role players, things of that nature. Now, there will be, however, like there always is, a few big names that are on the trade block that move to a new team. Names to keep an eye on, just a few right now, would be Jonathan Papelbon, although they're swearing they're not going to trade him, and Cole Hamels of the Phillies. Now, that's a great example of the type of players and teams to keep an eye out for on the Major League Baseball trade deadline. You're looking for teams that are not winning and have high-paid veterans. They're likely to be involved in trade deadline trades, as well as people who have a lot of prospects or people who are lacking prospects. But I think a team to really keep an eye on, to me, one of the teams, there's a handful of teams that the right or wrong or no trade here before the trade deadline will ultimately either make or break their postseason hopes for this year. And one of those, for me, one of the biggest ones to keep an eye on, is the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays, little known, have the second best run differential, meaning they've scored more runs than they've given up. They've got the second best of that in all of baseball. Yet, they're not in first place in a division that everybody's within 4 or 5 games of first place, and your first place team's barely above 500. So, like I said, knowing that run differential statistic, one would think that the Blue Jays are desperate to acquire someone for their bullpen. Because when you're scoring that many more runs total overall than you're giving up, but you're still only 1 game above 500 as the Blue Jays are, and they're 4.5 games behind the Yankees in first place, that suggests that your bullpen is blowing a lot of save opportunities, a lot of games where you had the lead and should have won, or a lot of close games. You're not winning any. The only games you're winning are blowouts. You're not winning close games, which that would suggest that's on your pitching staff, and like I said, your bullpen, your middle relievers, and your closer. So look for the Toronto Blue Jays to desperately seek a trade partner for a bullpen arm, a bullpen pitcher. They're very interested in Papelbon, one of the 3 teams I saw most interested in him, Dodgers being one of the other ones. But again, they are now insisting that while Papelbon was at one point in time possibly on the trade block, he is no longer. But wrapping up the AL East standings, like I said, you got the Yankees in first place. They're actually 10 games above 500. They've been